morning, everybody. I'm Evelyn Thoren. I'm your host on the Dawn Patrol. We've started a little bit late this morning, but that's okay. We can always do that. As you know, my co-hosts aren't here. Anyway, we wish them well. They're basically, I'm making the assumption they're taking care of their wives this morning, and I hope everything is going smoothly for each one of those. I'm sure they'll join me next week. John's going to join me at the table, and then around 7 or whenever Glenn gets out of bed and gets himself up here, then he'll join us this morning and talk about all kinds of neat little things that he has been involved with. I did look up some of the stuff that he had done there. He is a consultant. He used to work full-time for Draper Labs, and he'll explain what that is, in case you didn't know. They're in Cambridge.
Aren't they marrying up to UMass?
And what they did was last year, they have been part of UMass Lowell's development. I think it's of Mill City or something, whatever they call that. There are articles with regard to when they first arrived there, and they had a sort of open house, but I don't want to take Glenn's thunder away, and he can talk all about that and what it entailed. But there weren't any pictures that I saw online. I don't know about the Lowell Sun. I don't subscribe to that.
What pictures?
Well, they took a lot of pictures at the event on Tuesday.
Then I'm sure they're on the Sun.
Right, so
We'll look later.
yes, and anyway, so that was, I thought that was it was a very successful event in terms that what they anticipated for participation probably doubled of what really showed up. So that showed, more of a success.
They're
And,
looking for good jobs.
well, I don't know about that. So
Yeah, I do.
Anyway, you can talk to him about it. Well, the politicians
Okay.
that showed up,
First of
I'm
all-
certainly sure wanted to get more PR time.
His royal pensioner, Marty Mann, did he give himself a doctorate yet?
Oh, my gosh. Can he
He
do
probably
that?
has several doctorates. Yes.
Well,
Doctor-
I thought he had some on-
Doctors plus, I've got my hand in your pocket, Marty Mann. He was there.
Yes.
The new gal who runs UMass Lowell, I want a job. She was over there too. And all the king's horses and all the king's men. And the city manager doesn't go to this stuff anymore. Doesn't have to because he's got a new contract.
Well,
Once he has less than a year in his contract, he'll be over there.
Right, well, he was there.
For
And
each-
so
oh,
Glenn,
then-
Glenn, I said, I don't want to steal Glenn's thunder. I was overbooked for that morning. Other than that, I would have gone, I would have taken pictures, and then I could have reported firsthand.
Nah,
But that's
we're
why I
good.
wanted Glenn to come
We're
in.
good. We don't need any more pictures.
Well, I wanted Glenn to come in, so he will, chat about what they were doing and all of the other stuff.
So turn the page.
Yes, that's what I was going to do. That's one of the
Did you go
topics.
to the lake?
We were up there last weekend. It was cold and rainy. It did not snow up there last weekend. The prior weekend, when we were there, when we left on Monday to come back to, Sunday and Monday to come back to Chelmsford, we left in an ice storm.
Evelyn has a secret lake in New Hampshire.
It's not so secret, but it's small. And it's
What's
very
this?
quiet. The loons are back. The geese are back. There's different kinds of ducks beside the mallards that are back.
Down the beach, we only get seagulls, nothing else.
You don't get any out of the birds? You gotta have small ones
They have
on.
little dinky birds that they protect. Forget what they call, but they have.
Well,
little-
they're like sandpipers
That's
that you
it.
have that
they
run
protect
along.
the sandpiper. I don't know.
Well, they run along the
But none of the-
shoreline.
Not many of the restaurants are open down the beach yet, so.
Well, and Glenn said when he was outside, I don't know, getting wood or something like that, he saw the eagle. So there is a family of eagles, wild eagles up there.
What's going on out in Chelmsford? Your election's done?
Elections were last week, as you well know, and we had,
Are we happy with the winners?
yes,
Okay.
generally speaking, I was.
Because
Maybe
next week, Monday Night Dinner Club is going to the 110 Grill.
in Chelmsford.
In Chelmsford.
So the 110 Grill is a franchise, and there's one in Braintree, there's one in Rochester,
We're
New
only going to one in
Hampshire.
Chelmsford.
I know that.
How is it?
But I'm going to I'm making a comparison. So there are a number of those that are out there,
A lot of
and
McDonald's, too.
we went to the one in Chelmsford a while ago, and
Ellen loves
it's
that.
all the same.
Her and her buddy Maria go there all the time.
Depends on what you like to order. But the last time I went, I wasn't as happy with the meal as I was with the one in Rochester. They have the same food, but however it's cooked, it was not that great for whatever it was that Glenn had ordered. But that was a while ago. I don't recall that.
Well,
I
I'll
don't
give
know
you
if
a
you would.
report on next week.
Yeah, and but there's a lot of good restaurants that's out there. Some people, well, there's a lot of people that don't like
You do Chinese?
sushi, which is where I was going with that. So Nobo is under a new ownership, but the food is still good. It's there.
We went to a place called Cash and Garden and drank it. Oh, out of this world. It was delicious.
Yeah, but what did you order?
They had a thing where you can buy 2 things, 3 things, 4 things, and $10. I got a plate of vegetable. What's this stuff? Looks like spaghetti.
Lo mein.
Lo mein. Got vegetable lo mein, boneless spare ribs, and egg roll.
Yeah,
Out
see,
of
I
this
don't eat
world.
that.
Delicious. But they didn't have diet root beer, so I got water. They had town water, which is okay. But I don't understand why restaurants don't sell bottled water. Why don't they have a bottle of Poland Springs for $2?
I'm surprised. Now,
None of them do.
well, there are restaurants that do, and
Oh,
it
really?
depends
Name
on the
one.
level of the restaurant, however classy they want to
Oh,
be.
by the way, recently,
We talking about water? Yeah, you're going from.
yeah,
This is gonna be
well,
fast.
We had enough on water. I mean,
Well, I was going to say
they should have Poland Springs.
Right, but sometimes they have still water or they have sparkling water. So the last time that we went to the Cliff House in York, Maine,
That's
they
a
asked.
long ways away.
Yeah, but when we go
We had a
out for a
family,
day,
family
we go
wedding
by
up there.
there.
Family wedding up
Well,
there.
we had a conference up there years and years ago. We may go back just for a vacation.
We
type
stayed. It was nice.
It's
Ocean,
pricey.
open, there's the ocean. And I said, it's the same view we have at the condo.
Almost.
So
But anyway, it's a beautiful place, and they
my wife
redid
went
it.
to Fishbones.
And she didn't like it? What did she order?
Didn't ask. But her and her girlfriends went to Fishbones and
Well, I'd like to know what
gone
she...
down. Are you still enjoying Fishbones?
We used up the gift certificates. As I clean out stuff, I come across gift certificates in the drawers. Some of them, I bought and just never gave them away. But the last time we went, I thought it was just fine. The time before that, it was
No longer
okay.
Fabulous.
What Glenn wants to do is,
Lost fabulousness.
like I said, it's all dependent on your chefs. Now, some people like certain restaurants better than others,
Someone's
and
beating around the bush.
everybody is,
Not like
everybody has personal preference. I mean, you go out every Monday night.
Evelyn, you went there, okay?
Yeah, and
Was
I,
it good, delicious, lousy, lackluster? What would you say?
I would say that based upon a comparison,
Oh my God.
it was okay for me.
Okay, well, I'm telling you, my wife went there with her buddies and Fishbones.
Yep, but it was okay. Like I said, it
Also
depends.
work
Yeah, it depends on what you order. I mean, when I go to the 110 Grill, I order something that
The
you can
whole
get anywhere.
table didn't like it, Ev.
Amazing.
It's like, oh, we're all going to have a hamburger. No, they all had different things.
No, I understand. I'm not trying to defend
They didn't
Fishbones.
like it. That's the nice thing about Monday Night Dinner Club. There's 10 people who go, so they eat everything from hot dogs to rice. So, like the new guy, Brad, he had white rice.
That's all he had for dinner?
No, that was on his plate, white rice. So interesting.
Well, I think restaurants are interesting anyway, simply because of how much I cook. And the same thing it would be with Ellen, is if you cook well, when you go to restaurants, you have a tendency to kind of pick it apart saying, could I have done this better? And sometimes the answer is yes, and sometimes it isn't.
Restart this device.
What's going on?
City Light's frozen. So, the only way I know it's still working is on my phone. It's
Oh,
frozen on my phone. So if it's frozen, once the phone starts again, I'll have to get up and find out why. Because we have no idea if we're going out there or not.
great. Well, we would know Because, like you said, if you're on Facebook, we ought to be able to pick that up.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do, but it was frozen on Facebook
Huh,
at 11 past.
great. I mean, it comes up on
What time
mine.
is it?
I don't know, but it's moving.
There's a clock.
I can't see it.
Oh, okay.
I need different glasses. Don't we all need different
I can have
glasses?
a peek. Oh, boy. Hey, now you got the mask going there. I don't know.
So, let me see what this is. Why do I have that?
I don't know.
Huh. So far, there was like 13 people on, but I don't know why there's a mass on my, is that what was coming up on,
Hit play. What happened?
I did, I hit
I'm
play.
going to have to get up off my
Oh, here it goes.
keister and
It-
go over there.
Yeah, that's what it's doing.
It's going to mass?
It's going to the mass. Well, it could be worse. I don't know, where we are as far as anything else goes.
Yeah, something went wrong. Check your connection.
Well, I hope that some,
The other day, Comcast just shut us off for half an hour.
well, Glenn's getting up extra special early. I certainly hope that everything is fine.
God, it's terrible. The viewers will be. Oh, Glenn. Well, that's a good time. Not a good sign. No, we're on.
Huh.
We're on. Just thought I'd walk away from the screen.
Well, if we're on, we'll figure it out, but it seems as though that on Facebook it doesn't seem to be doing very well.
I'm going to do Facebook. You're on, so please continue.
Okay, well, that's nice. We were talking about restaurants. There's an awful lot of them out there. I don't even know how many pizza places there are all over the place. But we had ordered from Zesty's in Chelmsford. Zesty's has been around for 40-something years. And as far as dating yourself, it was in the center of Chelmsford where you now have CVS on Boston Road. There used to be like an island in there. And we started doing that in 1981 when we moved to Chelmsford, having pizza. So we still buy pizza from them. I don't know if it's the same people, but we certainly do that. And the landscape in Chelmsford has definitely changed. Glenn will probably talk about some of the stuff in Chelmsford as far as the ledge road issue with all the trucks. And so we can ask him that question in the next hour. So we're just lining up all of the different little topics that we have here. Some of the stuff I'm certainly sure that he doesn't want to talk about.
Hey, is it cold outside?
It was 25 degrees when I came in this morning.
No wind today.
No wind, clear. In fact, I could see whatever the morning star was, so I don't know what planet that was. I didn't ask my telephone. Very still out there. Could hear the cardinals when I left. Lots of robins out there. So we'll see. And of course, people are cleaning up their yards and doing all kinds of things, especially if you have a service to do that. But they try to advise people, and you can look up all of the different articles on if you are cleaning out your yard, not to do it until, I don't know, May, when the weather is better, because you got a lot of bees, you've got a lot of different kinds of insects that are beneficial.
They have too many properties to do.
Pardon me?
They have too many properties to do. They have to do it when they can.
No, I understand that if you have a service, but if you are a property owner yourself, you have one property, they advise not doing it. Now, what a lot of people will do is they do it in the fall.
Who is they?
People that own property, that's how I would define my they, is that I'm included in the they. Try to keep my husband from
Oh, you're
cleaning out.
making this up then.
I'm one of the theys,
Oh, Evelyn.
because I own property.
Experts.
Well, I don't know about that, but
I should talk to Gary Francis. Maybe we get you an expert spot over at WCAP.
oh no, I don't want to do that. I have to walk up like 2 flights of stairs.
No, they moved.
Where'd they go?
It's first floor.
They were on the first floor?
Yep.
I remember the first time that I went to WCAP, it was a deja vu moment, because the studio took me back to 1970 when we tried to start a radio station at Eastern Nazarene College in Quincy, Mass. Among a number of things that we tried to initiate on campus that no longer exists, which is unfortunate. But it was funny. I was talking to somebody the other day about that too, because it looked like it was all tubes. And when I made a comment to some people that are a lot younger than me, they didn't know what tubes were.
I
Anyway,
don't know what tubes are now.
pardon me?
There's no more tubes anywhere.
I understand that, but when I went to WCAP the first time, that's what it reminded me of, is when we were trying to build a radio station on campus.
I have a granddaughter that was surprised the light bulb was so hot.
Unless it's an LED, it could be
Well, that's
cooler.
what she's used to.
Yeah.
She says, Papa, that light bulb's hot. I says, yeah, it is.
There's a lot of neat stuff out there. When you talk to your grandchildren about some of the stuff, they look at you like, who are you and how old are you? Which is amusing to me, because both you and I will be 74 this year, and married 50 years.
Why don't you just round it up to 75?
Because I'm not 74 yet.
But the people tell you look fantastic. I'm 75. Wow, you look great. for
Yeah,
75.
right. Well, Glenn, it will be 75 in a month and a
Same
half
thing,
or so.
well, once you get to 75, you're 75 for the whole year. When you turn 76, you are 80.
Yeah. You're pushing 80.
Yeah.
We joke about all of that
Just
stuff.
say 80.
Yeah,
I'm 80.
my mother's going to be 104 in 2 weeks. So
She should round it up to 105.
she won't do that. And we've rounded it up 104 this whole year when she turned 103 to make her feel like, okay, we're doing pretty good here.
So I'm coming back over there because we are up and at 'em.
Okay, that's a good thing. I'm glad that we're continuing to be on the air. Anyway, so we were talking about different kinds of restaurants. Did you want to stay on discussing restaurants? What is the restaurant that's in Lowell that has the fish and the fried food and stuff? It's not Good Times.
Downtown there's Cobblestones,
Yeah,
and then up by the cemetery there's Good Times.
yeah, but there was a
Then you
different
have
one that Glenn talked about.
Captain John's.
I think it was something like that. Now, was that a
That's up on the
franchise?
That's up in the Highlands, in Couple Square.
I don't know. You had, and took a picture one time, and it was
Well, these-
fried food, like fried.
Captain John's.
Okay, because Glenn said something about trying some of those restaurants. I says, I don't mind, except I'm not
Captain
supposed to eat
John's.
fried food.
Put your mustache on and your big glasses so no one identifies you, but.
You mean that you think that they would know who I was? They know
Of course,
you.
TV celebrity, oh my God, that's Evelyn.
Yeah, right.
Jens Fatia.
It was funny, I took a tour of the DeVille, wouldn't call it a
It's
nursing home. It's a
Duville, not
Duville.
DeVille. DeVille is Cadillac DeVille. Duville.
Okay, Duville.
Manor.
So I went to Duville Manor, beautiful location, beautiful facility that they had, and I knew people, those that were visiting and those that were there.
They sit up from their bed, Evelyn!
Well, basically, that's what happened.
That's what
It was
happened.
really an interesting thing.
Sad when you see a schoolmate in the bed, you go, ooh.
Yeah, well, it wasn't a schoolmate. These were people that were supporters. I had yard signs. There was different things. It was a very interesting morning for me.
Yeah, Duville's a nice
And
facility.
it's very beautiful inside.
to go to.
And as far as long-term care, in comparison to all the different places I went, it's also a reasonably priced location. And I took pictures on the inside. Beautiful, different dining rooms.
Did you have any grub?
No. And
I've never eaten there.
they have choices, and it looks like standard stuff. Like you could have, soup and grilled cheese, you could have a hamburger, you could have chicken. I mean, it depends on the day. Some places that you go, it's not so great. I'm not sure. Some days it's kind of like a turkey shoot. It could be good, it could be bad. So we just, take a look at that.
They had a change of leadership there, and so I don't know the new guy who runs the place.
And
One by name, Naomi Prendergast. She used to be the big cheese up there, and she ran a heck of a good operation. She's fantastic. Any kind of issue we had, I see Naomi at the Rotary Club when I was a member of Rotary, and or I just call her. And so Naomi Prendergast's office, can I talk to Naomi? Well, who's calling? We'd chit chat. She's a great gal, and I think she's retired now. But she grew that facility from being a little rinky-dink place to what it is today.
Well, they have, as far as I'm aware, they have independent living, they have assisted living, they have a memory care, they have short-term care, and they have long-term care. And when you have all of those levels, you can balance out the cost factor.
Plus, they're down the street from Lowell General. So if
Yes.
you get really bad, they toss you in a car and bring you to Lowell General.
Yeah, but that's almost, depending on traffic, it could also be the same where my mother currently is, because
No,
you
it's
just
down
jump
the
on Route 2.
street. It's down
No,
the
I know
street.
where it is.
There's no traffic on Vonham Ave. She's there.
Well, anyway, the place where my mother
There's not
is,
even one traffic light.
I did have I did let them know that we did this program. This is Life Care in Neshoba Valley. Life Care is a corporate group.
Yeah.
I didn't do any research on it, but I certainly can. As far as how many there are, there's one in Acton, there's one in Billerica, there's one, I think, down in Tewksbury or Situate, someplace down there. But they're all over the place. And I had mentioned in a meeting that we did this program, and if they had any events that they would like to PR, to let me know. So the next day I got a phone call. I sent you the email, and there are several events that that particular location will sponsor. So in June,
What town are they in?
Littleton, Mass.
Oh, okay, that's not too far.
Right, so in June, they will have a concert outside. You bring a chair.
Isn't that nice?
Yep, free.
Are they inviting other nursing homes?
Well, what they do is, I think they have it open to whoever would like to show up.
They used to have the seniors ball in Lowell, and all the nursing homes would go. And all the undertakers would send their limo so our limo would go to a nursing home, like McKenna Willett limo, O'Donnell, all the funeral homes would send their limo and to their local, and bring these people to the ball. And, they had it out to Lindsay's, everybody had they're all dolled up, they had the band, and they'd be dancing, it was a good time. I don't know if they still do that.
I don't know what they're doing. You could
But it
certainly
was a
find
good
out.
time, but this concert they're going to have, they should invite other nursing homes.
So there is a concert. It is in Littleton, and it is in June. And I'm going to look up all of that information while we're talking.
When you're out there, ask them, are they inviting the other nursing homes?
I have no, like I said, she told me that the event was open to the public.
Okay, but I mean,
I
Duke
don't know
might
how
have
they-
a bus and shoot everybody out there for the concert.
I don't know if they let everybody know.
Little cookout, maybe?
Well, they said that there would be stuff that you could purchase, and if you can do
I
that,
spend money, I want free food.
the money goes to, I think, their Alzheimer's
Goes to
support
their-
group.
Go to their pocket, I don't care where the money goes.
Well,
It should
she was
be
letting me know.
Summertime, cookout, nice.
Um,
I don't think it'd be paid for the seniors ball, I think it was free to go to that. It
Well-
was just a nice thing that they all got together and did, and lovely.
So they also have an Alzheimer's support group that meets, I think, on a weekly or bi-weekly basis.
Oh.
And so if anybody is interested in that, I'm sure it's on their website, but if I can find what the email is that I did send you, because we don't have co-hosts, you can't be looking it up.
Yes,
Yeah.
you can, you're the host, you can do anything you want.
Well, I'm looking it up now so that I can, if there's
So,
something to
did you
put
do
on.
your taxes?
Yeah, they're done. I don't do them, Glenn does them. And
Wonderful, get TMI, but yes, you got your taxes done, good.
oh, yeah, they're done. It's easier because when Trump was in office the last time and he put in whatever the quote-unquote tax cuts were, there was an awful lot of stuff we could not deduct as a result of it. And because you want a certain percentage of deductions on your income tax, then unless you don't itemize, you send in a short form. And so,
My accountant, his name's Jim Shannon. His company does my taxes, and they're all done, but my favorite sister-in-law, I do her taxes. And we go to a place called TurboTax, and it's great. I just go on my little laptop, put her, go in there, so, hi, welcome back. It remembers my laptop. So, pretty cool. it took like, and they said, this will take you 58 minutes. And we finished in 45.
So what I gotta do is figure out in my email where I had that
She's happy, she's
particular
getting a
one.
refund from the state and the Fed, so she's tickled pink.
I think we're getting money back also, but I think the other part, well, I don't think I know, you pay quarterly when you're retired, and so,
I pay every week.
well, you do if you get a salary of type, and Glenn does, so.
Work.
As a consultant, but you can overpay, and that's part of it, and you'd
So
rather
I'm glad you
overpay
get
than
the
come up
refund when
short.
it's done, you can kind of forget it, but I remind the viewers, it's April 10th. And you need to file for your extension. If, I lost my papers, you need to file for an extension. Got to get it done. And then once you file for an extension, you got to put an alarm on your phone so you don't forget.
Yes, and usually it's 6 months, so you have to have it in by October.
Now, the IRS, they're telling me they're selling the Andover facility. They closed it.
I don't know, I'd have to
And
look
they're
that up.
selling it. That's surprising.
But I will look up what I've got here as we go, and we'll figure that one out in a short period of time, rather than taking the time to do it
So
now.
all your new politicians got sworn in and,
As far as I'm aware,
John
they all
McChesney?
did. I mean, John Moses was on last week, and I was trying to find out, and if Sam is listening this morning, if he knows who the chair is of the different respective boards, in the structure. I know that he went to the select board meeting on Monday night. The new chair is Erin Drew, and the clerk is one of the new.
Aaron Drew's a woman.
Yes, Erin, E-R-I-N.
understand.
Then there's Aaron, A-A-R-O-N, is the clerk, and the vice chair
You
is
have
Pat
Aaron
Mahoney.
and Aaron?
Yes, and we have two Pats, one Patricia and one Patrick, on the same board. It'll be interesting,
Isn't that lovely?
yes. So they have, so the
You guys
select,
aren't paying them, right?
everybody doesn't get paid that's on a board.
See, Lowell, they're giving you 30 grand. Yeah,
Well, I'm not
30 grand.
not moving along yet.
No, I think the selectmen have got to step up to the plate and pay themselves. That's
Well-
why only rich people can run.
I know, but we have people that,
Never mind those poor people, let them steal. I'll
I don't
be here
s-
running the town because I'm rich.
I don't see that many, there's enough snobby people in every community, but I don't see that many.
Chesford's loaded with them.
Well, you would have to list all those snobby people. Am I a snobby person? Are you
I'm
a
not
snobby
going to tick
person?
you off on air.
Then you have to define what does snob mean.
I'm better than you.
Oh, well, I always felt regardless of whether or not I had more money than someone
There are a
else.
lot of
or I thought I had more
nice,
money than somebody else.
Friendly,
I never thought I was better than anybody else.
homey people in Chelmsford, and there are a lot of elite.
But there are people that think they are better than me. And I thought that was amusing, and I knew
And
that when
we
we
have
moved
some-
there in 1981.
We have some elites here in lovely Lowell, Massachusetts, and come Judgment Day, they'll be.
It doesn't matter when you're dead. You're all on an equal level playing field. So anyway, that gets depressing after a while. And speaking of being dead,
Oh, I got
do you have a rating on cemeteries? Do you like one cemetery more than another?
Did you see that catastrophe down in Pennsylvania?
No. What was it?
Oh my God! The whole casket, all the pallbearers, the grave collapsed, and bam, they all went in the hole.
Was there a lot of rain?
There's being an investigation that happened down in Pennsylvania. It was on. I first saw it on, I think Facebook on the computer, and I says this is going to make big time news because it was.
But I didn't hear about it. But I don't listen to a lot of the news.
Then it was on Channel 4, 5, and 7.
Yeah, see, I don't listen to local most of the time. I don't
So
listen
these
to a whole
guys-
lot of TV anyway.
These guys are big men carrying this casket to the grave, and under the weight of the pallbearers, the whole platform collapsed into the grave. Terrible. So nobody got killed.
Seriously hurt.
Nobody got killed. I don't know about seriously injured, but nobody got killed, thank God. And would not happen around here. You take, like, I don't care, Chesford, Lowell, whatever town we have burials in, the cemetery will call you the day before. If there's bad ground conditions, cemetery will call you the day before. And they'll say, hey, can't go to the grave tomorrow. Or we're not going to have the grave open for you because the ground's too
wet.
it's not going to be able to hold the weight of the people. So they'll have like a dummy setup. There's actually no hole there, but we'll go to the grave, put the casket on the device, but we all know there's no hole there. The family knows that the burial's going to take place later. And after the services, we take the casket back to the funeral home. And when the cemetery's ready, we'll go back up there. And this time of year is the most popular time that will happen because it's April showers, the ground's very wet, muddy, and so around here, there's good communication between the cemetery and the funeral homes, so I can't ever imagine that would ever happen in any cemetery that I'm aware of around this region.
I think Glenn's on his way because the front camera noted that he left.
Okay, good.
So he should
Tell
be
him to
here.
text me when he gets here.
Oh, he will, because we locked the door.
Yeah.
So he should be here probably in about
Wonderful.
8 minutes, 10 minutes, if that, from what the
Alrighty.
time was. But I'm offline as far as the computer goes on my telephone. I can't get anything on my phone.
Well,
As long as you still have stuff going on outside, in terms of how you're doing
I know what I can
the
do. Yeah.
Facebook,
I can
right?
I'll put, what to make you happy, I'll put up the camera that looks at that door.
Oh.
How's that? And there's my Glenn.
We'll be married 50 years in 2 weeks. Seems like yesterday.
2 parties coming up tonight. Got Sexto to Jesus and Corey Belange's parties coming up tonight.
Well, you're going to do announcements anyway at 20 past, right?
I'm going to remind you, just come up to tell me to go to these parties.
Okay. Well, what I'm trying to do is to find out a number of things. One of the things, too, that I might, if I forget to mention it in the next hour, the Arts Technology Education Fund deadline for applications ended on March 31st. We have 3 applications, and we will be considering those at the beginning of next month. We have to fit into everybody's schedule. It's one of the easiest committees that anybody could be on. Right now, we do have a full complement of members, and people can make donations all year
List
long.
of hit parade. What else are we going to talk about?
Oh, there's a whole lot of stuff that I had.
Cameras aren't coming up, so he's going to have to text.
Right, because the computer may be offline. My computer was offline from yours, so I don't know why. Anyway, it is definitely interesting. You know, it's been a long time that you and I,
Hit parade over there. What else you got on your list?
it's been a long time since you and I were like doing this.
Yes.
Usually we always have somebody, or I'm able to get somebody. I didn't want Glenn to get up super early to be like the co-host and the guest and the whole thing. So we'll see what he has to say. There's a number of things, a lot of things that, you want to talk about in the second hour only because it goes to Chelmsford. But I did send some articles, not that you read any of them. There are some new laws that Healy signed, and let me see if I actually can pull up those articles, because if I can't, then...
Just about you can't cut your cat's foot off, and you can't,
Yes,
you can't take
it's not cutting the foot
the new
off.
kids, kittens from their mother until
It's 8 weeks.
couple of months old.
Yeah, I'm
And
trying to see
you
if
can't sell them in
I...
parking lots.
Oh, you did read it? Or did you just know about it?
I listened to talk radio I was in Boston most of yesterday.
There it is.
So Eileen Del Rossi's not coming tomorrow. And, let's see, I usually do blah, blah, blah. I can reach out to my colleagues, Dave, Fred, see if they're able to make it.
So anyway, there were 3 items. One was there's a ban on declawing cats, and then it does explain what the procedure is. I will admit and confess that I had my cats declawed, because no matter what kind of a scratching post I had, they always picked the antique furniture. I no longer have pets, and one of those animals that I had lived to 23. So I understand why they wouldn't want it, and that is fine. Then there's an 8-week rule. That's the second one. It prohibits the sale of puppies and kittens that are younger than 8 weeks old. The fine for violators is $100 per animal. and there's no more roadside sales. That talks about public parks, parking lots, and flea markets. It would be interesting if you had like a day in the park.
Where are you supposed to go sell your kittens?
Or if you sometimes you got them on Facebook, and they really
So you
don't.
sell 'em so you can still sell them on Facebook?
I don't know. If you have that, you can track them. There's also people who actually breed different kinds of animals, mostly dogs, and one of them is on Facebook, and that's Donna Parley. She's in Chelmsford. She breeds Jack Russell Terriers.
Of course you want a Chelmsford dog.
Well, I mean, I follow.
Chelmsford dogs are superior.
Yeah, well, she's one of my friends, and that's Polly's Farm.
superior
It's on
dog.
Pine Hill Road, and so she has puppies. So if anybody's interested in that, on Facebook you can access Donna
Chelmsford dogs are
Polly.
better than other dogs.
Well, Jack Russell Terriers are smart dogs. They can be smarter than you. They
Doesn't
learn
make any
quickly.
difference where they're born. They can be born in Tewksbury, they can be born
That's
in
correct. I
Franken.
agree with you. It's a smart dog. Anyway, so they have fines and things. So I thought it was interesting because after the article it says he's running, and that's Mike. What is his name? Kennelly, a Lexington Republican, former
Yeah, for
Baker.
governor?
Yeah, administration official is a Republican, and he's focused on lowering gas prices. I'd like to see how, if you lower gas prices in a state, you've got to reduce the taxes on it. So we'll see how that is, because we talked about that. Most of the prices on gas dealing with taxes. Housing costs and other taxes will be interesting to see how he does that in light of however they've been running the budget within the state currently. So there's a lot of stuff on his candidacy that's out there, and I don't know, there's a lot of stuff. This was an MBUR site that all of that information,
WBUR?
WBUR.
Yes, we're the radio where we don't have exhaust fans in the men's room.
One of the interesting things, I don't know if Glenn has looked this up also, it has to do with fake job seekers flooding U.S. companies, and they are being hired for remote positions. But I read several articles on it, and I thought what was interesting is that they're North Korean, they know how to hack, they're doing AI, looking like they're different people. Their resumes are wonderful, lovely, and it's great, and you want to hire them, but when you do the investigation, you find that they're not who they say they are. And the IPOs, they may say that they're in Italy, but the IPO address that's coming across is in Russia. So there's a lot of things that people who are hiring online, make sure that you're actually hiring a
How
person.
about text? Are you getting any of these fake texts? I need someone who knows all about funerals to lead a group of dummies in the desert, and we're paying $1,000 a day, and you work from home.
I get that
Please
stuff on my
click
email.
here.
I get a lot of spam, a lot of scam stuff that's out there.
I just click delete.
Yes, or block number. And I also, there's a lot of
Who's your? I got Verizon for a carrier. Who's your carrier?
Comcast.
You have a Comcast phone?
I have it's Xfinity.
Okay, cool.
So, seems to work. It's kind of like you have a bundle, and it seemed to work quite nicely. So, I don't have any complaints about it. Glenn would know more about it.
Good. One of my friends has Xfinity, and he's not pleased with it. So I'll be interested to see how you like yours, because you use your phone.
I use my
do
phone
a
like
lot.
24, almost 24/7.
yeah.
Yes, and there's a lot of research you can do on a telephone that you couldn't do before. And it was funny because my mother at 103 made a comment, and she said something about, well, how do you find that stuff out? I said, on this. And she goes, she's looking at me, and I think that her issue is that she just doesn't remember. I said, this is like a computer. I can ask it any question. Doesn't mean it's going to give me the right answer or the one I'm looking for, but generally speaking, it's pretty accurate. I use it for a whole lot of different recipes. One of the articles that we had to do with health that I had. It was somebody that was a doctor that was 101, and there was a whole list of things to do and not to do in order to maintain health and to live longer, if you wanted to live longer. Be careful what you wish for. having a lot of contact with all these different nursing homes, it's a sad situation in many of them, not because of the care that people receive, but because of the condition the people are in and the age brackets.
Evelyn, you got a text here from Eileen Del Rossi.
Oh.
Tell Evelyn that there is a wonderful AI feature on LinkedIn. They will buffer your resume and cover letter for any job you apply for.
Well, that's nice to know. I think that there's a lot that's out there, and one of the articles, because I read several on this issue, about how many North Koreans have hacked into the different place, to get jobs, and all that money goes back to North Korea, and they have been able to track all of that. But one of the people that have hired has required an in-person interview. It could be on Zoom, and they've noticed that when the person is on Zoom, that there is problems with when you talk and what you see on the screen. What they hear and what they can see is there's a discrepancy, among other things, and so there's a lot of ways.
We haven't had trouble with Zoom yet.
No, but it wasn't that it was the Zoom call that had the problem. It was the fact that the person that was being interviewed had hacked a different face and body and the whole thing, but their voice was the same, but they were also able to do voice recognition, so they have the ability that if they want to be able to copy my mother's voice, they can. So if you are dealing with companies on the telephone and they say, well, we're recording this for voice recognition, big deal. Somebody can hack my voice and call and be able to actually do business online, and it's a big problem.
The quick fix for that is you ask them a question. And I'd just say, Evelyn, what's your sister's name?
Well,
And
sometimes
you go
they
like,
know this.
What does that have to do with our conversation? Then I know it's not you.
And I would tell you, you already know my sister's name. But anyway, that's beside
No,
the
but
point.
if you can't tell me what your sister's name is,
I understand how that works. Now, I had 2 phone calls.
He's here.
Okay.
See his car?
He parks over there instead of in the parking.
Well, he's not going to take the Queen's spot.
Well, we know that, but there's nobody else out there but me.
He parked next to you.
Oh, I can see it now. It's a different angle on the camera than I thought it
will
was.
go get it behind us.
Okay.
Evelyn will be overjoyed with happiness.
Well, lovely. So while we're waiting, what I'll do is I'll see if I access that list of things that everybody can do. And then, John, you were supposed to eat on camera.
Oh, it was sticky.
It is sticky, so we're going to eat off camera? Okay, it's for you, because we're not going to eat it.
Usual thing later on.
So anyway, like I said, just to recap, you want to be careful if you are hiring people that you really are hiring the people that, if you're doing it online. I know that when different children of mine have been interviewing, they all require an in-person interview. Or at least that you can see them. So you want to be very cautious about that. We talked about the new laws regarding pets, in case anybody was interested in that. We have some other articles, but because Glenn's coming in, we can talk about that. When he gets here, one has to do with the different electric vehicles. But the article on nutrition had to do with a 100-year-old nutrition professor shares his 7 rules for a long, healthy life. The question is, if it's healthy, that's one thing, but a long life isn't always what it's cut out to be. And so, with the different lifestyle changes that he had, and it didn't have anything to do with genetics. In my family, it does have something to do with genetics. My father died at 100, and Glenn's grandfather, he died at 98, and we won't go into that whole list. But he talked about different things, and it says, don't smoke, don't drink, no matter what he said. Exercise was his key, especially when you retire. And so it was, he said, and Glenn can relate to this with his grandfather, with this particular guy, he wanted to have a garden, and it required him to clear land for a road and a house, and then he had to cultivate his 2-acre garden. And he had 3,000 strawberry plants and 80 fruit trees and grapevines. He planted all of them. So he said he did it all by himself, worked hard, and that was his go-to activity. And he said that people who walked more than 2 miles a day had only half the death rate of those who didn't. But it depends on other factors, of course, as we well know. But generally speaking, this is his observation. Maintain a healthy weight, and he goes through all of those. Eat less meat, eat less sugar, eat less saturated fat. So he has pretty much put in his article, don't know how much he gains financially by these articles, but he has put in his articles, in this particular article, generally speaking, what's in all the other articles on maintaining a healthy lifestyle. And everybody, you can join us, Glenn, go right ahead. And everybody that, lives longer or whatever, all of the 100-year-olds, they all have a little bit of a different twist to why do they live so long. Anyway, welcome.
Good morning, Lowell, Drake, Tewksbury, Chelmsford,
Tingsboro.
Tingsboro.
Anyway, how you doing?
I'll be awake shortly. John's coffee is good. I got to give him credit for that. This is good coffee.
You didn't have any at home? No time.
No time.
Okay.
Watching the news.
Oh, okay.
You guys do a Keurig at the house?
Yes.
What?
Yes, we have a Keurig for coffee.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Keurig.
And the only reason I went to one of those was because I threw away too much
Yeah.
coffee.
The Keurig, do you just plop it in and close the handle and let it do the thing?
Yeah, we have a little one. We have a single, one about this wide, and we have the little containers are refillable, so they don't go in the trash. So what I do
Oh.
is I take,
Put real coffee in real little containers.
No,
Yes.
I get my coffee at job lots, and I throw away every one of them. And I do it much different. See, yours has a single funnel in the bottom. Yeah, we get the same thing. We tried it. Nah, didn't like it.
didn't like
But I'll tell
what?
you, when you do go on vacay or wherever and you have a real Keurig, let me move this camera thing over to me here.
Well, when you buy the little cups, I think they're like 50 cents or more each.
Whatever. So what? So we go to like job lots or whatever, and I think they're 27 cents a piece.
50 cents is a lot.
27.
27 cents
Well,
a piece.
that's better. If
So
you buy your own coffee and
I
fill
take-
the refillables.
I take the little white thing and I shove it in the thing, and you'll hear it get pierced. There's a spike in there
Yes.
that pierces it. So I will pierce it pierce it like 5 times, and then put the plunger down. And I get a much richer brew than you would ever imagine.
Right, because you have more of the water. Well, anyway, we don't have to explain why. But
All I'm telling you is just give it a try. Just turn it. You hear it pop. as
but
you-
we don't buy those.
when you go on vacation.
Oh, okay. Well, you can also get tea, hot cocoa. There's a bunch of other things that you can buy in those little containers. But
You know they have booze in them?
No.
Yeah.
They can't do that.
well, yeah, they
Yeah.
can.
I
But
got some bootleg stuff from Canada. I have a relative, and her name will remain nameless,
anonymous.
anonymous, who works for Keurig. And for Christmas, she says, Uncle John, I got something for you. And she gave me a box of these things, and she says they're only sold in Canada. You can't buy them in the USA.
It's not beer, is it?
No, what is it? What's in it?
It's hot stuff.
Is it like?
It's vodka.
Yeah,
Oh.
right.
And oh my God, it's delicious.
That'll wake you
Have a
right up,
nice-
John.
Have a nice coffee at nighttime. I think I have a sip of coffee. Oh, it was so nice. So I have.
Goes over
I'm not going to say
smooth.
her name because her mother, and her mother-in-law watch the program. So I'm not going to say her name.
Yeah, but I think they figured it out.
Well, they know who I'm talking with. They're going to say her
They
name.
know that they know themselves, but the rest of the world doesn't need to know.
Right, but we do all of this stuff. But anyway, the containers that we have, have a little, it's a screen, so it pushes it through. But what I do afterwards is I have a container, and I take and I put the coffee grounds, I tap all the coffee grounds out into the container. When it gets full, I take it and I put it out in my yard. So that, and then I
Mine
also
goes right in
have,
the barrel. Boom.
nope.
right in
And
the
so.
barrel.
Good
Yeah, but
fertilizer.
yes, I use it out
Good
in my yard because we grow stuff out there. So the other, and I'm into recycling, if anybody hadn't
I'm a
figured that
city
one out.
boy. It's going in the trash.
No, I'm not into putting stuff in landfills. If I
No,
remember, I'll.
it probably gets burnt, and it goes up to the atmosphere, and the birds enjoy it.
Yeah, well, I don't know that. So, anyway, and the other thing that I noticed is that you have to wash the small little containers. So I have a bucket. So I wash the stuff in the bucket, and then I throw that outside on my plants or my shrubs, so it doesn't,
Evelyn-
any grounds don't go down the drain.
Glenn, don't you think she's working too hard at this?
What can I say? This isn't my call. If she wants to do it that way, fine. The only thing is, if you wash these containers out in the
Now,
sink,
when-
they could clog
when
up your
Evelyn's
drain.
up north and you're at home by yourself and you have the Keurig, do you have a secret supply of the little plasticky guys
No.
and you throw them away?
No, I just take them outside. I use a garden hose to spray them out. No, I don't.
What he did was he took a toothbrush and he cleaned out the inside of it so that all the grounds came out rather than putting it down the drain. Because when we had a new sink put in, and when they cut the drain and everything, I could see that putting the coffee grounds down the drain was not helping my drains. So I said, okay, I don't want to end
We
up.
have an incinerator. Everything goes down the drain.
I don't have one of those because
Oh,
I
it's
do not, at
nice.
some point, I
Glenn,
do
you should
not
get
want to
her an
have to spend
incinerator. That's
$1,000 for a Roto-Rooter to come and try to figure out
No,
how to
they
do.
don't.
Well, they did in my parents' house all the time.
No.
At her parents' house, part of the problem was they never used the dishwasher. And anybody that knows anything about drainage knows that when you use a dishwasher, very hot water, it's got chemicals in it that clean dishes and clean pipes. So if you use a dishwasher regularly, and I don't mean like it has to be every day, but a couple times a week, it keeps your pipes clean. But if you don't use a dishwasher and everything's going down with minimum amount of water with it, it sticks to the pipes and builds up and builds up and builds up.
So anyway, we're coming up to the 7 o'clock mark. We're going to take a very short break for transition because we have different cities and towns
the
that are going to
announcements
join
coming
us.
up, too.
And we also have
Favorite part of
announcements
the
coming
show.
up in 20 minutes. So if John wants to go to a break, we'll be back very, very shortly. Since we have a limited group today.
Yesterday.
What you were looking at was, he was looking for the sun in the pitches, so in the transition, if you were accessed any of that. Anyway, I'm Evelyn Thoren. I am your host. As you know, we don't have any co-hosts this morning. They're all doing wonderful things with their wives, and I hope everything is positive and working out well. And we have Glenn Thoren as a guest. Thank you so much, Glenn, for getting up extra special.
Oh, it'll be no
early.
fun this morning. No, we won't discuss any controversial issues. or have an opinion on,
Yeah, right.
on
yeah.
anything.
There
Right,
were
John?
no opinions expressed on this show. Speaking of which, this is not a scripted show. If you know with most of the media that's out there that they have a monitor and things are being typed up, or they've typed up their own script for the show, we don't have any of that, but and we have no edits, so if something comes across, it's live.
Guess I don't have to read the road for me this morning.
Not that you would to begin with. Anyway, so the first hour, John and I, talked about all kinds of different things. And one of the things that I brought up was that you work for Draper Labs in Cambridge. You are now a consultant because you're semi-retired. I would debate the definition of semi-retired. But there was an event on Tuesday at UMass Lowell. So I looked up, by the way, online to see if anything came up. Nothing came up, except
That was intentional.
except for when they first came up, and they opened the facility, and the everybody was there, and the governor was there, Maura Healey was there, and all of that stuff is online. There is an Instagram post. I think it was it could be from the chancellor of the college, but you were there, and maybe you could tell us a little bit about why Draper is up here, and whatever else you can think about, because I don't need to prompt you on topic.
Well, a lot of people don't even know who Draper is. Charles Stark Draper Laboratory was spun out of MIT as a separate entity in 1973, much like Lincoln Labs was spun out of MIT, and MITRE Corporation was spun out of MIT. The difference is that Draper Laboratory was spun out as a not-for-profit company, which is different from MIT and MITRE. From Lincoln Labs and MITRE, because they get a giant chunk of money every year from the government to do things. And so they have to allocate that, brings armored truck rolls up, takes a couple $1 billion out, and provides for their facilities and their salaries. Draper's not like that. Draper is a company like any other regular company would be, like a Raytheon or Lockheed, some of our competitors, some of our partners. And what Draper does is the most advanced, exquisite technology, primarily in the world of guidance systems. Every nuclear ballistic missile in the country, whether it's land-based or sea-based, has a Draper guidance system in it. And we're also in the medical industry, developing new techniques for replicating heart tissue, lung tissue on little tiny microcircuit chips, so we can determine the effects of medicine on those and how to improve people's health. We also have a number of other programs in space, and it's all geared toward national security. So if you want to get the most exquisite technology that can apply to national security, Draper does that. But they have kept a very low profile over many, many years. We're located in Kendall Square, Cambridge, and one of the challenges is getting people that are living outside Route 128 to drive into Kendall Square. It's a bit of a haul. We live in Chelmsford. It's about an hour drive from our house to Kendall Square. And what we'd like to do is attract more people from southern New Hampshire, from northern Massachusetts, to work for the company doing all the things that I'd mentioned. So now Draper has put together an agreement with UMass Lowell to occupy part of the campus and be involved in some new building projects that they have, where we can build microelectronic circuit development capability in Lowell. In other words, the stuff that we would buy from overseas, from Taiwan and other places, will in the future, if everything goes well, be located in Lowell. So Draper put the first satellite office in the Wanna-Lancet Mill building, just around the corner from here, and we have room for about 50 people there. There are some people that are located there. If I have to go there and get connected with the rest of the people in the company, it's a lot easier than driving into Cambridge every day. So the meeting that was held on Tuesday was essentially an open house, so that the neighbors in the UMass Lowell community could come by and see what Draper was doing. We had about 6 or 7 projects on display, and we had the facility area open, which is a beautiful renovation to the inside of the Wanna-Lancet Mill building, and we had a conference room that was seats about 60. So I was asked some weeks ago to help organize this because it was getting off to a slow start. So I run
What day was the event?
Tuesday. 9 to 12,
Okay, 'cause
The 8th.
I'm going to try to get the pictures off the sun. Okay, thanks.
Tuesday the 8th. And we actually wanted to keep it a modest-sized meeting because we know there's a lot of local interest in Draper joining the community. And so our executive offices invited the Lieutenant Governor, Kim Driscoll, who came, and Julie Chen, the Chancellor of UMass Lowell, came, and to a very pleasant surprise, Marty Meehan was there, Tommy Golden was there, Dan Rourke was there. So Evelyn told me to make sure I said hello to Dan, because I don't know Dan, but I've known Tom Golden for 30, 40 years. So, our CEO, Jerry Wolitz, was there to give a speech. So we had all the notables there, and we were expecting a meeting of maybe 60, 70 people, and it ended up being 140 people. It was jam-packed, and everybody loved it. They got to see some of our technology, the beautiful space that we built inside the Wanda Lancet building. The message that was being delivered by Draper was, not only are we a company that does the most exquisite advanced technology for the nation, but also we're designed to support education. We have literally dozens, if not hundreds, of Draper scholars. We support students. We support students now more at UMass Lowell. A lot of students from probably about a dozen universities, of course MIT students as well. So part of the mission of Draper is to educate the next generation of scientists and engineers to do the kinds of things that we're already doing. It's very hard to get, excellent talent, but you want the best of the best in order to be doing the best kind of work that we can do. And now, with our focus on microcircuits and the technology involved on making things that you can't generally get in the United States, the timing is perfect. Because as we look to other nations to supply us with all kinds of equipment, it's becoming a little bit more difficult to balance the trade situation out with, most of our pharmaceuticals are bought overseas, most of our microchips are bought overseas. We have to bring the technology and the capability for building back into this country. That's why the United States won World War II, because we had the manufacturing capabilities for munitions and for vehicles and stuff that we could, in airplanes, we could just build them endlessly in order to get them out in the field to help win wars on two fronts. Now that capability has been strained to an incredible amount, and we are in the process of moving more towards being able to be self-sufficient in the United States for things that are really, really important for national security. So the meeting was great. We had a huge crowd there, a lot of the Lowell community, and everybody gave, thank goodness, short speeches on why they were happy we were there and why we're happy that, the state is supporting the, advancement in UMass Lowell and building projects and so forth, because they want this part of the state to grow, and to grow rapidly with new opportunities in the high-tech area. That's the short version.
Well, thank you for the short version. But at least it was a successful event. It was a local event. We wanted to make sure that people knew that there's a lot of other things that's going on. This is one of them.
And it rained, and it snowed, and the sun came out, all during the event.
And like I said, I was overbooked for the day, so I couldn't get there, because other than that, we'd definitely have pictures. And if you do come across, any of the photographs of the different people.
I'm looking.
Then, Glenn can certainly send them, and we can put them up either today, or at a future City Life presentation. So it'd be interesting to see exactly how
You
they
say
took the
Danny
pictures.
Rourke was there too?
Yes,
Okay, I'll go to his page.
What?
Dan Rourke
Yes.
was there, yeah.
Yeah. I walked up to Dan, and I said to him, before I started, hugging Tommy Golden and reviewing old memories, I walked up to Dan and said, "Hey, my wife wants to say hello." He gave me the strangest look. And he said, and what's her name? "Oh, Evelyn Thoren." "Oh, yes, sure. I got to get back on her show sometime soon." So it was
He's a
funny.
good guy.
I should have reworded
Right.
that.
Yes, but it is funny, and it's interesting for a funny story that would be out there. So you're involved in all of that stuff, and I know that you watch a lot of programs, and you're on your phone doing research and watching a whole lot of stuff on your phone, too. So
Who, me?
Yes, the
Oh,
political
okay.
stuff, which I find, some of it I find very repetitive, on and on and on. I know last week we had Sam talk about what tariffs were. And the reason we did that was because he actually was involved in that particular area in
Oh, yes,
one of his
many,
jobs.
many years.
Yes, and so he understood it because he was in the arena to do that. And a lot of people, when you listen to the different newscasters out there, they have no clue what they're talking about. And you have an awful lot of fear-mongering and different kind of accusations because it seems to be the more political thing to do. And then we saw that the market went down and different things. And you have listened to an awful lot of things. If there's references to people, you had some things on Facebook, but I don't know who those people were that explained what tariffs were for people that maybe didn't hear Sam's presentation last week. But if you're listening now and you have access to Facebook, you would be able to listen to what that was last week, because it would be on John McDonough's Facebook page.
Tariffs are pretty simple. It's an extra charge put on goods that is being either exported or imported into a country. And, it's obviously something everybody talks about every day. I mean, don't you wake up and wonder what the tariffs are on countries like Vietnam?
Glenn, I would take it up a notch. It's a mafia move of the government saying, we want a piece of that action.
Well, that's a kind of an extreme analogy, but it's not too far off.
Well, actually, what does the company get when they pay their tariff from the government?
So tariffs are designed to...
No. What prosperity does the company get from the tariff?
It goes to the
Zippity
country,
doo-dah.
not the company.
I understand, but who's paying it?
Well, that depends. Sometimes the company that's shipping the goods into the United States pays it, and then that's generally the case. And then eventually the price of the goods is going to change because of the amount of tariffs, depending on the tariffs.
Isn't it true that if any of these greedy countries decide to drop their tariffs completely, there'd be no tariffs on them?
Isn't that what they're trying to do?
Say that again, John?
If any of these greedy, we'll take Canada. If Canada drops all her tariffs against the United States, I believe we will drop all of our tariffs against.
Oh, yes,
Canada.
that's correct. And you know why that's good?
And it's these greedy countries will not let go of that tariff money.
Well, the reason why is they want the money to stay in their country, and they want to be able to ship to us with a very low overhead tariff, and they don't want us to be able to ship to them where they put a lot of extra charge on what's coming into the country. And what does that do? That means they get more money coming in for anything that we ship to them because we have to pay the extra vig, if you want to call it that from the mafia point of view. They have to pay the extra money in order to be able to ship it into their country. They keep that money, but it also keeps our businesses out of their country. You don't find a lot of, Fords and Chevys and Cadillacs in Japan. You don't find a lot of those cars in Germany.
There's a 100% tariff.
Yeah. So what's that tell you? That tells you we don't want your goods in our country because we're going to make it so high priced, our people can't afford it. Therefore, our people will be able to build our goods and ship them to your country with very low tariffs, and we get to make money. And
the fact that your websites don't appear on our internet in this country.
A lot of times what the tariffs are doing from what has been on the news is, and you can tell that by the interviews that they have with the shrimpers and the farmers and the ranchers and everything like that, is that the country is trying to protect, not necessarily this country, but the other countries are trying to protect the people that fit whatever the produce, the product is, within their own country. So they want to make sure that they are helping their people either grow the food or raise the animals or produce the chips.
And we're paying for it.
Yes.
We're paying for
Right.
it. So it's India first, Brazil first,
So we're
not the
subsidizing their
US.
country. And I
Right.
think with Trump, when he's seeing how much money is leaving this country to go to other countries to subsidize their economy, it's like, what are we doing this for? Why aren't we having reciprocal tariffs or at least equitable?
Level playing field.
Yes, have it equitable financially so that we can help our own people. We're helping everybody else in the world, but we're not helping our own people, and that's why.
So Trump is very fixated on making America first, and he says, we're pouring money into other countries because they tariff us like crazy. Some goods going into Canada have 200, 300% tariffs, and the goods from Canada coming here have 2% tariffs. So naturally, it's difficult to ship anything into Canada because they're not going to buy it at 3 times the cost. And yet it's easy for them to ship stuff into the United States. Same thing with Mexico and other countries. So President Trump says, we're pouring our money into other countries to the detriment of our own, because when we do that, the jobs go overseas. The companies want to make money, and it's a worldwide economy. So if companies want to make money and they can build stuff overseas and prevent the U.S. from selling into those countries, they make more money. But we don't. Our money goes overseas and stays there. That's why we have what is it, John, $36 trillion, debt right now. That's a number that's almost hard to believe. And we have a trade deficit every year. Trade deficit with China is $300 billion a year. Might even be higher. But that means that money left the United States, is in the pocket of the Chinese, and we have no way of getting that back. And so President Trump said, enough of that. I thought it was a very clever move. It was almost like a chess move. He said, we're going to put tariffs on all these countries, and he had his big chart of tariffs. And they said, if you want to get to an even playing field, I'm with you. We'll negotiate. If you want to bring your tariffs to zero, we'll bring our tariffs to zero, and on we go, which means we get to compete. Now, President Biden said, we can compete with anybody, but no, you can't. If they have a 300% tariff, 200% tariff on our products, you can't compete with that because you just double the price.
Unless you raise the tariffs on our end. That's how you do the competition.
Right.
Is raising the tariffs on our end.
But that's bad for everybody.
Right.
Nothing moves. No sales take place.
No, not if
the
those
tariffs
numbers keep
go up
going
on
up.
both ends.
But currently, what is occurring is that he raised all the tariffs, not maybe to the extent at which he could, because you need negotiating wiggle room.
You raise them enough to make it painful.
Well, yeah, but and you
Everybody
can
said,
go higher
what the
if you
heck is
have
going
to.
on here? We didn't think you were going to do that.
Yeah, so,
We're used to people talking about it, but not doing anything.
right, and they're also used to taking money from us and not necessarily giving us anything. You can see that with all the foreign aid and all the other stuff that you have, Doge, we'll talk about that in a minute, of what it is they're actually finding out. And if it isn't fraud, or if it isn't something, then it will come to light. But at least they're trying to audit, to take a look at things, and it isn't all 18-year-olds
We
that's doing it.
we spent a boatload of money protecting Japan. I've been over the U.S. naval bases, and the Japanese, because they have the naval bases there too in Japan. I've been over there. I've looked at the submarines. We spent a lot of money in Japan protecting Japan. We have troops in South Korea. We spent a lot of money protecting South Korea. We spent a lot of money protecting Germany, and the tariffs are still huge in the 3 countries I just named, and there's many more. So we're spending our money to make sure that they're safe and protected. They're not spending their money on defense. We're spending our money to defend them, and yet the tariffs on our products are very, very high.
So currently, you have a lot of countries calling the White House to try to do negotiations, or I thought the last article I saw from Germany was that they'll go to zero if we go to zero. Which
it's
I
the
thought
right
was-
idea.
So I thought that was progress. And we'll see what everybody else does. China, of course, is on their own, but China has their own issues internally, which, if you're not reading the articles, I don't necessarily see anything on in the media, too much in the media anyway, about the internal struggles that's going on in China.
Their economy is in not good shape right now.
Well, it isn't just that. A lot of times in communist countries, Russia included, that you have people that disappear if they say anything against what the current regime would be. But you also have people in China, they're noting, that are disappearing this is 2024, John.
Yeah, that's kind of like, it looks similar. Not the same room, not the same meeting.
Only picture I can find, Evelyn,
Yeah.
I can delete it if you want.
No, this is only.
That's not Tuesday.
The
But,
only
yeah,
picture
this
I
is-
can find.
This is when they first opened up in 2024, because you can see the governor that
Yep.
was there. Yeah, I saw that online too. So
Those same people, except for the governor, were there. Lori Trahan was not there.
So in moving along, as far as the tariff, the you now have a lot of countries that are saying, if you go to zero, we'll go to zero, or it's a negotiation. And that's what Trump
So
is
there were
working
some
on.
people who went off the deep end, they were all Democrats, that said, he's going to drive the country into a recession. No, into a depression with these tariffs, and we'll never get out of it, and it's going straight down. So, if you're wise, you'll sell your investments now. This was on, what day is today? Tuesday. So they said, you got to get out of the market. It's all bad. Trump's ruining the country. And so the market went down a lot, and not that I'm going to be watching the market every day, because my grandfather once said, hey, the market goes up, the market goes down, but mostly the market goes up, and that's the right answer. So what Trump did when he saw the bond market getting a little bit shaky, he said, wait a minute, why don't we just pause the tariffs for 90 days and get to the point where he was getting a line plan for outside his office to negotiate lower tariffs. He has 75 countries that want to talk to him directly, and you can't do that in a day. So he just said, well, let's just pause the tariffs, back everything back to 10% on everybody, except for China. Because China did the one wrong thing, is they jacked up the tariffs on United States goods, so we
Twice.
jacked it up even more. It's 125%. Now it was 104, now it's 125. But you made one comment about China making people disappear. So in the news this morning, there was a Russian-American ballerina that President Trump, in his own inimitable way, was able to get out of a Russian
Oh,
prison.
he got her out.
She's on her plane back to this country in exchange for a Russian-German person that was arrested. She got arrested and sentenced to 12 years in a penal colony for contributing $50 to a Ukrainian fund. I think it was the day before they invaded Ukraine. So they considered over in Russia that was a treasonous act, so they arrested her and sentenced her to 12 years of hard labor for contributing $50 to a Ukrainian fund that supported Ukraine. That's nuts. And President Trump thought it was nuts too, so he made a deal with Russia and said, we want her back, and what do you want? And we didn't give them what they wanted, but we gave them something else, and she's on her way back.
Well, I find all of that fascinating. As far as China goes, there are people within the current regime that are disappearing because there is opposition to what's going on because they don't like the way the country's being run.
In China, right?
In China. And so we'll
Right.
see how that all goes.
Well, if you go on YouTube a couple of years ago, maybe a little bit more than that, the second in charge in China was taken out of a General Assembly meeting to the courtyard and shot. I mean, that's, one way to get rid of your political
North
opposition.
Korea does it a little bit different style, don't they?
North Korea.
Okay, going to the announcements. You want an announcement on the show, just send me a text. I'll be happy to put it out there. Tonight is Corey Belanger. Committee to elect Corey Belanger invites you to Corey Belanger, Lowell City Council District 3 Belvedere campaign. Kickoff party is tonight, 5:30 to 8 at the Long Meadow Golf Club, 165 Haviland Street, lovely Lowell, Massachusetts. Hope to see you out there, and donations start at $20 and go up to whatever you like. And if you're going to make a check out, you make it out to CTE, which means Committee to Elect Corey Belanger. And moving right along here, we got party for Sixto to Jesus. Join us for Sixto for Lowell City Council campaign kickoff fundraiser tonight, Thursday, April 10th, 6 p.m. And the public's invited, council at large and 2 others. I don't get that, but that's okay. Tonight it's going to be at Koto Asian Fusion Restaurant. That's in downtown Lowell, 72 Merrimack Street. Hope to see you down there. On Saturday, this is a free health clinic. No insurance, no money, no nothing. You just show up and they will check you out and tell you what's wrong with you. If there is anything wrong with you, you can go for a second opinion. But if you do take a glance at this, you might want to take your smartphone out of your pocket, take a picture of this slide. And, all these things you can get checked out for on Saturday for free. Zero. Not going to cost you a dime. And no insurance, no, just go there. It's Lhasa, and their address is 40 Old Ferry Road, About 5 years ago, maybe a little longer, they bought the former Elks Lodge. So it's right across the street from the fire department behind the new Market Basket. And they have the free health clinic and a very popular event. If you have any questions, the phone number's on the bottom of the screen here, bottom right-hand side. You can call them up and talk to them about it. But if you want to go, it's great. It's a great event. Hope to see you there on Saturday. Your dog. If you want to dress your dog up for Easter, they're going to have pup picks with the Easter Bunny, the Chelmsford Dog Park, Saturday, April 12th, 1 to 3 p.m., 52 Richardson Road, North Chelmsford, and should be a fun event. I meant to text Tara yesterday. Tara, the new state rep in town, his name is Tara Hung, good guy. He was here last week. He's going to have
He was at the meeting.
sit down and with him and chit-chat with him on Tuesday, the 15th, which is later on this week, at some donut shop. It's I don't know which donut shop, but I'm going to guess it's the new one up in the, I don't want to say the name, but I'll have to text him and find out what the name of that is, sorry. Lowell High School's having a job fair. If you're thinking of changing careers, I don't care if you're 45 or you're 15, if you're thinking about what you want to do with your life for a career, they're going to have a job fair at Lowell High School this Thursday, the 17th, and no, a week from today, Just show up 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. if they'd like you to register. And so take your smartphone out of your pocket, zero in on this guy right here, and fill out that information, and they'll be happy to see you. But if you're looking to change careers, it's a good opportunity to pop into Lowell High School and find out some more. On April 18th, next week, Rita Mercy is having a party. I know it's Good Friday, but she's having a party on the 18th, 6 to 9 p.m., 449 Boylston Street in lovely Lowell, Massachusetts. Always a tasty event. Rita puts on a real good party. Sakari Chow. He's having a campaign fundraiser at the Khmer and Southeast Asian New Year's celebration with Sakari Chow 2025, Saturday, April 19th, 7 p.m. to midnight at the Sampaio Mias Restaurant, 450 Chelmsford Street in Lowell, 5-course dinner, and they'll have music, dancing, going to have a great time. Seating's limited, it's $50 a person, and if you want to make a check, I'll make it out to CTE Sakari Chow, and the phone number's down there for more information if you'd like. Neighborhood meetings. Take the fancy phone out of your pocket. If you want to get involved with your neighborhood meetings, there's 6 neighborhood meetings, 6 different parts of Lowell. So if you want to go to a neighborhood meeting, take a picture of this, tells you when the event is, where it's going to be, and hope to see you at one of these events. Today is the 10th. That means we go to Lowell Senior Center around 10:30. Get a ticket. If you have $2, they'll take it. If you don't have $2, you can eat for free. Today we have a meatloaf. The day of lunch 7 days a week at the Lowell Senior Center. So consider it any day you want. And this is, if you need prayers for anybody, these are the gals to call. The Monastery of St. Clair, 445 River Road out in Andover. And if you need somebody needs some help with prayers, call that phone number up. These gals are fantastic, and they'll be happy to pray for whoever you want to pray for. Evelyn, that's the last announcement. Back over to you.
Okay, well, welcome back. After all those announcements, there's a lot of interesting information out there. I did send or forwarded you an email from Life Care Corporate, their nursing home. I don't know what else they do. I didn't
When
look
is
them
their
up.
event?
They have an Alzheimer's support group that they deal with. They also have an event, which I do not have the flyer for, in June, and then they'll have an alpaca event
Because
in
I'm trying to just stick in
September.
a month, because there's a lot of stuff happening in May that I skipped today, because
Oh, no, that's fine, but the
have,
Alzheimer's
like-
group, I think, is, I don't remember, because I couldn't access it, the timeline, so I will get that to everybody for next week.
She doesn't remember
I
the
don't- didn't- yeah, I know.
Alzheimer's group meeting.
No,
I can't make that
she
up.
said something, Well, somebody's got to have a laugh somewhere along the line at my expense.
I knew it once, but I can't remember.
That was not intentional, but it worked out quite well for you, didn't it, this morning?
Yeah.
So we can have a few
Happens all
laughs.
the time.
Yeah. But anyway, there's a lot of stuff that's out there, and what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to find all the different support groups. I mean, the age brackets that we're in, and some of us do have older parents. We don't have younger parents, unless they were our children. But there are things that, support groups that are out there locally that people, if they need to be with other people that have the same issues, besides being on any kind of blogs online.
This show goes to Chelmsford, right?
Yes.
Okay. When do they see the show?
Well, if it's being broadcast now, 7 to 8 o'clock in the morning.
So,
Live.
there's probably 15 or 20 advertisements from Chelmsford we could add on to the back end of the list that John has there.
On a Thursday. Well, the
so-
ones that,
Glenn and Evelyn seem to be jealous of anything that's not in Chelmsford.
no, I'm not
See,
jealous.
the sun rises and
I want-
sets in
I want equal
Evelyn's
opportunity.
little mind. Evelyn's little mind.
I don't have a little mind.
Yes, you do. The sun rises and sets over Chelmsford, and everybody else can just go to hell.
I didn't say that.
No,
You did.
no.
That's
No.
your,
Oh,
that's your
that's
With
assessment.
That's
Chelmsford,
exactly
if this is
how
going
you
to Chelmsford,
feel.
we have to think about Chelmsford first, John.
Then you make an announcement.
We do.
I don't have them with me.
But we do. You had a
Okay,
thing
you
on the
know.
dog park, okay?
You got the dog park, that's good. You know,
Yeah, right,
I
but-
still can't quite picture having your dog's picture with a rabbit. I'm
I
still working on
understand,
that
but
one.
you guys have Chelmsford, and the audience starts in Tewksbury, goes all the way to Tingsboro, goes from Drake to Chelmsford. There's a lot of people.
Well, there's a lot of stuff
And
that we
if all you
talked about. We
talk
talked about Lowell to start with for the first 15 minutes. So, we PR'd the different things that was happening in Lowell. So we try to be equal opportunity.
Yeah, speaking of Chelmsford.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that's happening in Chelmsford. There's a lot of things that happen in Tingsboro, Tewksbury, Drake, all over the place. Merrimack Valley, the world. You try to cover, a number of topics that you think might be of interest to whoever's listening. Obviously, there's not a lot of people listening because we're not getting a lot of texts. Either that or people are just tuning in because, Bob and Sam are here. And you haven't eaten anything yet. So if anybody's listening, I did make what I call my pina colada cake. And so we'll see how
Not
John likes
sure.
it because he likes coconut. Anytime
There's
that
no candles on it, though. No candles.
no, we don't have any birthdays yet. Our birthday, John and my birthday, are in.
It's
October.
Next year sometime, right?
No, it's this year. We
Also
turned
next
74. You will be turning 75 in
Oh,
May.
please.
And maybe by that time we'll have a new granddaughter. You never know. Maybe she'll be born on your birthday. So there's a lot of stuff happening locally. To finish up the thing with the tariffs, the concern that everybody had was what you had said about the market going down. So what has happened recently with the market?
Well, everybody was trying to convince their neighbor to jump off the ship and take a life vest with them. But yesterday the market went up 3,000 points in the Dow, and even more, relatively speaking, in the Standard & Poor's 500 and the NASDAQ, because of the pause. What the market doesn't like is uncertainty. And the reason why Trump put the pause in is all the countries that want to negotiate lower, tariffs that are more advantageous to the United States is a lot of countries. So logically, he said, for two reasons. One was, why put the large tariffs on everybody that he did while they're still negotiating? Let's give it a pause, get the negotiations underway, negotiate, low tariffs, zero tariffs, as many countries as we can. And oh, by the way, there's another piece to that puzzle. A lot of countries put in regulation restrictions that are kind of the same as tariffs, but they're a complete stop. So instead of charging you double the price, unless your cars have a certain emission standard capability, they can't go to certain countries. Unless your beef has a certain level of or lack of hormones in the beef, can't go to certain countries. And so there are other restrictions that when he negotiates the tariffs down, I'm pretty sure those restrictions will be removed as well, because the tariff doesn't matter if they put a restriction in that can't get your product into the country anyway. And as RFK Jr. is trying to clean up the chemicals in the foods in the United States, I think the other countries will be very happy to see that, because the chemicals we put in our foods, the dyes and the additives, aren't even allowed in Europe or Australia or Japan. They're just not allowed. So the United States has more chemical additives in their foods than probably any other country. And so that's going to change as part of the negotiations on the tariffs as well. And to get everything to a more even playing field, you can't have restrictions or regulations that just block products. Because, number one, they probably should be blocked for some good reasons. And number two, tariffs don't matter if you can't ship the product into the country anyway.
So when we're talking about the market, what was interesting is that you had a lot of people in opposition to Elon Musk that were causing issues with the distributors, with the dealerships, individuals that actually purchase them.
These are evil people. I'm not saying what political party they're on that are fighting against Musk and Trump, but these are genuinely evil people, and they should be in jail. If you're firing bullets into a Tesla dealership, if you're setting the cars on fire, and I'll go so far as to be a little bit more heavy-handed about that. If you take a key and scratch up a Tesla, you should be in jail. Because that's terrorism, that's vandalism. It's saying that, gee, I can't even drive my car in my own community because somebody's going to cause me $2,000 in damage because they don't like Elon Musk. And I'm not saying what party they're from, but if they're of that opinion and damage your car, they should be in jail. I saw an elderly gentleman, maybe not elderly, he might be my age, putting who looked like his grandson into his car, and as he was going back around his car, he was putting a giant scratch on a Tesla. Now, what people don't understand, the Teslas have 8, 9 cameras looking in every direction, and in the Sentry mode, they're looking from the rearview mirrors backwards, they're looking from the rearview mirrors forwards, they're, looking out the back of the car, looking out the front of the car. So if you're around the car, the camera's going to take a very nice high-resolution picture of you, and you should be in jail.
Well, there's a little more where I was going with this beyond
go
where you went with it. And that was that there was a lot of 401k funds that for retirement systems, and they're being managed by different, what would you call them? Whatever the financial.
Fund managers.
Yeah, fund managers.
Financial managers.
And so when you have a portfolio, you certainly have mixed, you can talk about what is in a portfolio so people understand. And there's a lot of it that had Tesla stock in it. And some of the retirement funds were for states. They could be for the police, the fire, the teachers, whatever it might be, and that for their retirement systems, they do have these portfolios, and some, like I said, some of it is Tesla stock. And so what they're doing is they're harming their own people with regard to that, which is definitely,
Well,
unfortunate.
VP candidate Waltz was making a giant statement on it. He was so happy that Tesla stock was tanking for a little while. It's back now. That his state's retirement funds were heavily invested in Tesla, and Google, and NVIDIA, and other organizations like that. But he was making comments that would affect his own retirees. That's just moronic.
Well, I don't think it's very logical, but that doesn't mean that they have a logical mind to begin with. And so you take a look at that, and it doesn't make any sense. When you take a look at what happened over the last 4 years, and then 8 years, we go back and back and back, and you graph it all out, it isn't as bad today as it has been in the past. I mean, I remember that you talked about that. Was it Black Friday or Black Monday or something or other when we were out in California?
We were in California, Black Monday, I think it was. The stock market went down 22% overnight, and I thought that was some kind of a joke, but it wasn't April 1st.
Yeah, well, we were driving on the Pacific Coast Highway going to San Simeon or something or other, and that was the headline, and we were like, okay, so what is this all about? So there has been different times in our past that we wondered, but then everything recouped. So we'll see, exactly how that all goes.
2000, the dot-com bubble broke. 2008, we had all these subprime mortgages where, if you want to watch a good movie, and I think if you have the ability to get it on Paramount Plus or Prime or something, is The Big Short. It'll tell you a lot about the manipulations in the real estate market and on Wall Street.
Excuse me, Glenn. So, what do we got here?
That's my pina colada cake.
Looking forward to it.
It's going to be very sweet.
With coconut.
Well, it's got the pineapple in it, and it's got coconut, and then it's got a glaze with coconut in it. So we'll see, and pineapple juice.
We have that for breakfast almost every day.
No, we don't.
Oh, we don't?
No.
Okay.
What we have for breakfast, it's very interesting. We were talking earlier about nutrition, which I always is pretty much up on because, I have a larger kitchen area to work with, so it's becoming a nice area in which to bake and cook. So, anyway, we were talking about different things like that, and one of the key pieces was exercise. So what do you do for exercise, Glenn?
I get out of bed and I walk around the house for a while, But I've been running for a long time, since I was a runner on the track team in Arlington High School. Not a great runner, not like our youngest son Matthew, who was just about unbeatable in every event he was in Chelmsford High School. He was a captain of the track team for 2 years in a row. They won the Merrimack Valley Championship when he was a senior. But I just keep moving. My grandfather, who lived to be 97 years old, and he was born in 1884, and he had a philosophy in life. He had a big garden because they lived in Arlington during the Depression. So if you really knew what you needed to do during the Depression, you had a garden, and you grew as much of your own food as you could, and he did, and they canned it for the winters. And so when I was growing up, in his late 70s, 80s, and early 90s, he had an enormous garden. I would guess it was probably up to half an acre. And he was always out in that garden with 50 tomato plants and every vegetable you can think of, and lots of it, working the garden every day. I saw him one day sitting on a bench, and I asked him, I see you taking a rest. Now, he was about 94 years old at this time. He was sitting on the bench, and I came over. I see you're taking a break. And he said, well, boy, he used to call me boy occasionally. He said, I used to be able to work 4 or 5 hours straight, but now every 2 or 3 hours I got to take a break. And he was 94 years old. So his philosophy was, you just got to keep moving. And when you think about that, that's precisely medically true, because when you stop moving,
you die.
You're dead. So that's the point. So now, yesterday I haven't got up to my running speed yet. I still run 5Ks. I still run the Chelmsford 2-miler. Been doing that for decades. And right now I'm walking about 2.25 miles, which is good exercise if you go walk fast. And I run a little bit of it. And it's still cold outside, so, I dress warmly. But, it just keeps the body's circulation going. Brightens up your mind a little bit. And if you are aging like I am, the best thing you can do, and start as soon as you can, in your 40s and 50s, is, walk. That's the easiest thing to do. If you can run a little bit, run a little bit. But don't sit on the couch and, don't get out in the lounge chair in the backyard or the hammock and just swing around. You got to move. And occasionally I'll get to the gym and lift weights and stuff like that, but not as much as I should. So the important part is just keep moving. And that's one of the keys to health. I'm sure somebody's told everybody that same thing. The question is, do you do it? So the idea is just fresh air, get out, breathe it, walk in it, have some fun.
Right, and don't put off today what you can do tomorrow. Start.
Unless it's raining or snowing.
Well, you can have the right kind of gear and do that.
I'll sit in the hammock in the backyard.
Well, you need 2 trees to have a hammock, or at least some kind of a
No, I'm inside, other than going out to do the snow shoveling when it snows, so.
Well, we have a lot of projects that we'll be able to do. We have a lot of wood that we have to stack.
Got a lot of wood. It's burning at the house right now. The house is not burning. The wood's burning in the wood stove.
Right, so we have a lot of stuff we have to stack, because you had trees taken down a few years back. We have trees taken down up at that lake house. We got that stuff to split and do, but that tractor's going to help a lot. And we'll be able to get that form of exercise. I always like to do exercise where I can actually see something accomplished in the short term.
I should have had you take the trees down then.
No, I can't because of my shoulders. But
okay.
I do what I can, and work it out there.
Life is good with a good chainsaw.
We talked about different things with recycling. I just wanted to make sure that I put that out there, that there's a lot, if you're cleaning out, spring is on the horizon. I don't know how far away that horizon might be because we had snow the other day.
Yeah.
But we do have a lot of opportunities when you're cleaning things out to make sure that they don't end up in a landfill. You have simplerecycling.com. If you go online, that's where you can get rid of a lot of fabric items, whether they're in good condition or not, and they will come pick up at your door. You don't even have to go anywhere. You just have to make sure that they're in a trash bag, and you have to go online, obviously, to schedule that. And there are other, donate your stuff. I mean, there's a lot of places that's like that. They also will take other items. I'm not exactly sure how you box those up, but you can take a look on their website, which is simplerecycling.com, and that will tell you pretty much what you can do with regard to your items. There's a place called Household Goods in Acton. I think they're only open on Saturdays, maybe from 10 to 2. If you have a question on what you could bring there, you can call them. You will get a call back, because I did call and left a message, and I got a call back on a mechanical bed, that adjustable beds, a single bed. They do not take those kind of beds. In fact, not anybody takes those kind of beds. And you really don't want them in a landfill, but that's beside the point. You have different metal places. I don't know how many there are in Lowell, but you can certainly look up online, because I was going to say the Yellow Pages. That would definitely date me. I don't even know if we have any Yellow Pages lately, except online. And I think it was,
What's that recycling place on the connector that takes washing machines, or used to take washing machines and some...
Levine?
Levine, yeah, that's it.
It's off of Plain Street.
Yep.
So I know we had what did we have, the hot water tank or something? And then we had a wash machine, and the guy goes, just dump it over there. They don't pay for it or anything. They do the recycling. If you have copper...
They get paid for it because it's metal, but, it's got copper in it with the motor. And
Right.
what
So
have
as far as I know, they break it all down into the appropriate
So Glenn,
components.
you change your own hot water heater?
I have in the past, not anymore. I get plumbers to do that now.
Don't they take the old one with them?
Yes, now they do.
Okay.
Yeah, now they didn't say, here, you can have your old water heater. Do you want to keep it in your living room?
And the
or where do
same
you
thing with the washer and dryer?
You pay to have them take it
We
away.
replace our own washer. I and my boys, we replace our own washers and dryers.
And repair them.
Yeah,
What do you do with the old one? Dump it on Westford Street?
Well, we have a
Average day?
gentleman that does collect metal, and he gets money for it, so we give it to him, obviously, because he can go exchange it for some cash at metal recycling, and he picks it up. So my middle son just changed out his washing machine, and my oldest son just changed out his dryer, so they know how to plumb them in. And we just take the old one away in Evelyn's van to our metal recycling friend, and he takes it wherever he takes it.
Yeah, the plumbing aspect is easy. It's like a hose. You just screw stuff on.
Yeah,
So it's
hose.
not as if you are
The
doing
dryer's a little bit
what I would
trickier.
call real
I come from a
plumbing.
much lazier category where I have a professional come in.
Yeah, but basically
Screw
all
those
you're doing is,
hoses on.
it's like a hose outside. I don't have a professional come and, call a plumber and say, I want to attach the hose
But
to
I'll go to
the
like
faucet.
Drake and Appliance or whatever, and they'll come and they do everything. And
Well, the last wash machine
Free?
we purchased was Drake It.
it's included with when you buy it, yeah.
Well, it's a fee. We didn't do that, and we picked up because it was a delivery charge. So there's a lot
We
of
don't
things
pay
that,
delivery charges, we don't
I
pay
think you're
installation
skirting the
fees.
sales tax.
no, because Drake It
Drake It?
Appliance is in
Drake It's from
Massachusetts.
Drake It.
Okay.
We bought the washing machine from Drake It.
It's a very nice Speed Queen washing machine. We've had, sort of regular, middle-of-the-range
Okay.
machines for years, but we said,
Good company. Drake and Appliance, good company.
Yes.
this may be the last one we buy. And Drake and Appliance, they're great people. We had a great time talking to them. They got it very quickly. I picked it up quickly, put it in quickly, and gave our metal recycling guy the old machine.
One of my tenants bought a washing machine to replace the one that we own, and I don't know why she did this way, but that's okay. And it was one of the big bucks, whether it was Lowe's or Home Depot, scratched the daylights out of the wall, and it was a
Ooh.
real mess, and she didn't do anything about it.
That's why I do my own installations whenever possible.
We
know.
try to be very careful about everything that we do, and I'm certainly sure that because we've saved over so many decades, that the older that we get, when we can't do something, we would have the finances to be able to do that.
So when I was growing up, I think I told you this, John, my uncle in Arlington owned a company called Arlington Appliance. And so he was a guy they went to. He didn't have a store or anything, but if somebody wanted to buy a washing machine, dryer, dishwasher, whatever, they bought it from him, and he would deliver it and install it. And I helped him do that, because back in the day, and we're talking in the 60s, 1960s, these suckers were heavy. I mean, they were built like a battleship. And I don't know how much more they weighed than the ones we have now, but I know they were heavier. In Arlington, there was a lot of 3-story houses. And when you're taking a refrigerator up to the 3rd story.
Always the 3rd floor.
Oh, my goodness. But anyway, he would repair them. And so part of his business was he took machines that other people were replacing that weren't that bad, and he would repair them. And a washing machine's only got like 5 parts. Same thing with a dryer. And I would help him repair the machine. So I can repair any washing machine.
Those days are gone.
Yeah, well, no, I would do it now.
You still fix your washer?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I can replace, in fact, before we got rid of the washing machine we got rid of a couple years ago, I repaired several parts on it that were just wearing down.
I
And,
just noticed, very important day, it's Cliff Krieger's birthday.
happy birthday,
Happy birthday,
Cliff.
Cliff.
So I'll have to send him a text.
Many, many more. So if you can do your own work, because I grew up in a family that really had no money, if you can do your own work, you're way ahead. We change our own brakes on our cars like you do, John. You just jack them up, crawl into the car, and change the brakes.
No, I don't do that.
Oh, you don't do that? Oh, you pay for that.
Yes, I pay for everything.
So I don't do that. If I can fix, I'm an engineer, so
Wait,
I have to blame my training.
You
Engineers,
enjoy it.
engineers think they can fix anything.
You enjoy doing that kind of work, and
Yeah, you
not
get-
my cup of tea. My son Joe likes tinkering with the cars, and he'll take his Land Rover apart, and you find
Yeah,
parts all over the
exactly.
garage, and he knows where all the parts go, and I go like, oh my God, I would never take. But he'll take a brand new hearse, took the whole front end off the car. I go in the garage and I go like,
That's crazy work.
Are you kidding me? He said, I got to put the lights in it. So he put all the fancy blinking lights in the car, and brand spanking new car.
You get help like that, you keep it, man.
Hey, he put it back together. It works.
You do. I get phone calls from my sons. My sons repair their own washing machines. My sons do their own brake jobs, and they all change their own oil. So it's nothing like getting under a car and cranking that oil, bolt open and getting
Glenn,
the
there's
oil.
nothing like taking a nap in the front seat of the car while they change your oil. There's nothing like it.
That's why we were talking
Depends on
about
what
how
you
much
like to do.
exercise that you get.
You got to get out there and keep
I go
doing
to the,
stuff.
there's 2 quick places I go to get the oil change. One's on Gorham Street across from the cemetery. Another one's out in Tewksbury by the, that's halfway to the funeral home in Tewksbury. And one, you sit, like in Tewksbury, you sit in this little room and chit-chat with people. They got the TV going. And of course, I have the gift of gab like you've been blessed with. So I can talk to strangers. So we have a good time out to Tewksbury. But in Lowell, you have to stay in the car.
Yep. Depends on what kind of
they
what
wake
kind
me
of
up when they're done.
oil change place is. Yeah, I think I know the one in Lowell you're talking about, a Jiffy Lube or something like that. I forget what it is. Maybe it's a,
But they all have a pit underneath.
Yep.
Yeah.
They don't lift the car.
I had a friend when I was working at Raytheon. He built a new house and he liked cars, so he built 2 pits under both sides of his garage. So when he drives his cars in, all he has to do is walk down into the pit to work on them. I take that back. He had 1 pit and 1 lift. So he could change the oil in the pit, and the lift would, jack the car up if he wanted to change brakes or anything like that. I was very, very envious.
You need to have height in a garage to be able to have a lift.
Oh yeah, yeah. He built the house and the garage and everything else, so he had everything going for him.
Yeah, I don't think we have enough height. It's 12 feet.
It'd be kind of close.
Right, you need a tiny car. So, we only have about 4 minutes left. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you thought you'd like to
Oh,
talk
we have
about?
town meeting coming up in Chelmsford on April 28th, I think it is. And there's some issues. If you're in Chelmsford, you might want to take a look on the town website and see what's in the warrant. There's also another issue in town I'm taking a real hard look at. There is a I guess I call it a gravel pit, an aggregate pit, that drives innumerable trucks through parts of North Chelmsford every day on the back roads where people live, and it's on Ledge Road and Dunstable Road, and it really is a nuisance for the people that live there, and they don't know what to do about it. So we're going to take a look at that because I saw the videos of the trucks going through there. The roads are so narrow that if they're coming at each other, one truck's going back, one truck's coming out, one truck has to actually drive off the road to let the other 18-wheeler by full of gravel. And this situation has been going on for years. It just seems wrong, even though it may be legitimate to drive on those roads. I think there's something that people are not tracking. So the town engineer has put a restraining order on travel there, which the company is appealing and ignoring. So we've got to take a look at that because nobody wants to have 200, 300 18-wheelers going by their front door in both directions every day, starting at 5:30 in the morning. That just doesn't seem right.
Why don't we have a scale for these trucks?
Scale?
Oh, a weight.
Yeah,
The
I don't know
weight
whether
station.
the town
You'd be
can.
surprised how overweight these vehicles are, and the drivers have no idea.
No, because they're
No, the
loaded up
drivers
with
are just doing
aggregate.
their
They
job.
have so much power, these trucks have so much power, they can't imagine how much they're really hauling, and there are a lot of overweight trucks.
I believe that, and there also is a asphalt plant in Westford, which is on the same side of Route 3 that these trucks don't drive on. So the trucks are in an aggregate area, and they could literally drive through this asphalt plant's area if the road, it looks like, might need to be widened a little bit, and take it out to Route 3 through Westford and not travel through any of the neighborhoods in Chelmsford. Just goes right down to Route 40,
We
then
don't want them going through Chelmsford.
down to
Oh,
Route
yeah.
3, pardon?
Well,
Let
the
them go
prob,
through another town.
no, it has nothing to do with
I
the
wouldn't
town
go
they're
through any
going
town.
through. It has to do with what's happening to the roads and to the people that live along the roads.
These trucks are a lot quieter than they ever have been, Glenn.
They smoke like crazy,
Well,
and,
they pass inspection.
well, if they stop and put a meter on the stacks on a few of these trucks after the videos I've seen, they would not pass. Oh, we're down to the last minute.
Great. So, thank you very much. We'll start by saying that, and that. we
Tomorrow,
can-
City Life, we're going to have Dennis Galvin's coming. We're going to
Oh.
talk about policing. Dennis is a retired state trooper. When a state trooper was a state trooper, they weren't allowed to sleep anywhere when they were on duty. Now it's perfectly okay to sleep in the front seat of your cruiser, but Dennis is a retired state trooper. Eileen Del Rossi, she already banged out, she's not coming. And Cliff Krieger is going to be here. So say goodbye, kids. Time to go. No, you gotta-
Well, we have a
go
few
home.
seconds left,
Go home.
so you want to watch your weather. We're supposed to get a mix of rain and snow.
Get out and get some exercise.
Yeah, get out and get exercise, and hopefully we'll see you next week. I don't have any guests necessarily scheduled, but we always can have Glenn come in.
Yeah, and John, thank you for coming in this morning. You've been a big help.
Thanks.
So we hope everybody is fine, and I hope everybody stays safe.
Pina colada was delicious.
Oh, good. I'm glad you liked it. There's 2 more pieces for you.
They'll be gone.
All right. Well, anyway,
goodbye,
everybody
kids.
take care. Say goodbye. Take care. Bye. Stay safe.